welcome to this section. This is a project section where we build a fully functioning website uptime check. This is a program that will take a configuration of website URLs and check each of them independently after every minute. How frequently we check each of the website would be configurable. I am excited about this project and I hope you are too. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please support the channel by subscribing. Don't forget to like the video and leave a comment. Now let's start coding. The first thing I am going to do is to create a folder here called checker. In the folder, let's create another file, a main.go file. This is where we are going to write all the code for the program. The first thing I want to put here is the configuration of the website. So let's do type site config struct, the URL of the website, acceptable codes, and the frequency. The acceptable code is an array of integers that we accept as sources or uptime code. So if we receive any of the code that is in these slides, then we assume the website is up. When we get the result from the site, we want to store it in the result struct, basically to make our life easier. Up, boom. And status can be int. Looks good so far. Now we need to make HTTP requests. So one way we can do that is to, let me create a simple interface here. The reason why I'm creating an interface is because I want to mock the HTTP call later in the test. And this is really simple. Okay, let's create a default HTTP client. I will take func, then take the function from here, bring it over here, and we can return http.get URL. Looks good so far. So everything about HTTP call is done. Next step is to write the function itself, which I am going to call check. Let's take the site, so I can call it site actually, or config. Okay, let's call it config. Let's take the HTTP client. I am going to say result, and this is where we are going to do some concurrency. I'm going to say result is a channel, it's a channel of results. This is, or this type. We are basically going to send this type into this channel, and we are doing this because we want to run this concurrently with other functions. So response error is going to be client.get URL. Okay. The result we want to return will be result. URL is going to come from url.config.url. Looks good so far, right? Now, when we have any errors, we are going to assume the site is down. And then we are going to send a message to this channel. Okay, result, let's see what we are doing. Let me see what I'm doing wrong. Invalid operation is because of what I did here. Okay. And we return here basically to stop the function from executing here. After that, we defer the closing of the body. Now we need to check the status, so we'll do result.up first to set it to false, then we loop. If we find the code, this is really basic stuff. By this time, the site, we assume it is up. We can break out of the loop and do the same thing here. And this is the checker function itself. So I think this is straightforward. We basically made a HTTP request to get a result, and then we check the status code here. That's it. All right. This is the main function. Let's write one more function. This function we are going to write is what does the scheduling, basically starting a Go routine for this specific website. So let's call it schedule check. We are going to take the same parameter that we've taken there. So it's same parameters. It's going to come here. What we need to start a Go routine. In the Go routine, we need a timer, which you can get from time.new ticker. Time.duration will be config.frequency times time.second, something like this. Basically, what is going to happen is after every, let's say every minute, or after every second, we are going to get a signal, we are going to get a message on the channel. So let's listen on that channel. I'm going to be in a loop here because this needs to keep happening. Select case ticker.c. So this is a channel. When we receive a message on that channel, we basically call the check function. We need a client and we need a results channel. That's it for this function. Very simple, really straightforward. It just helps us start a new Go routine. Now let's write the main code here. Some sites that we like to check, we can, of course, Google is really our friend, hopefully. And I am going to say if we receive status of 200, we assume that Google is up. How frequently we want to check? Let's do 2 seconds for now, or 5. We can add another one, localhost. Something I know is not available, but I am going to put this one like 3 seconds. We can, and what other website is go.dev. Oh, HTTP links not secure. Okay. We should use secure, of course. All right, so we have these 3 websites that we like to check. I can food. Next is to do the results, make channel. And client is going to be the default HTTP client. Right? After that, we just loop through the channel, we loop through the sites, and then we call the schedule site, and we know is the HTTP client and the results. That's what we are taking. This is going to, sorry, we need to call this one. This is going to start the go routine and then call the check function. After that, we need the results. So I'm going to say for results. So we are going to block here and be collecting the result as they come in. If the site is up, we do something else. What do we want to do? We want to say the site is up. Site is up with status code of D. I think that's it. So we can say result. It's a good time to put it in a new line. Result.url, result.status. Great. How about here? We can say site is down. And this is our code. Simple, but looks good. So let's go here now and run it. I will do go run checker, fingers crossed. If there are no errors, we should start seeing, right? Localhost is down. Go.dev is up with status of 0. So something is not all right there. Let's break the program and go and look at our code. When the site is up, we are not adding the status code. So here up, I want to also say result.status equal to response.status code. Something like this. Now let's run it one more time. Good. Great. We are seeing the status code. And you see that the frequency is different, right? For example, we want to be careful so we don't blast Google too much. Let's say 1 second. And the rest are like 3, and maybe this one can be 2. I won't run it for long. Okay, see, Google is responding really quick, more quickly than the rest. So, fantastic program. Careful with how the frequency which you run this so that you don't get blocked and all that. So it's really important. So this is the code for the checker. Straightforward, no problems. Now we need to write some tests. To write the test, let's create a file here called main_test. Okay. And in this file, I will start with, let's start with some mock HTTP clients. I need the response. I want to be able to configure the response and the error. That's it. Let's get this path here just to reduce the typing. Bring the mock, and I will return the response and c.error. I am doing this so I can configure the response and the error as I wish. Really simple stuff. Now that we have the mock, it's time to write the test itself. So test check, something like this. Okay, what do we need? We need a mock client. Let's configure the response to be HTTP response object. And the status code, of course, will be okay. And body, even though we are not using the body, we need it because we are calling the close. And if you don't do this, it's going to panic. Okay, here. So we have the body. Error needs to be near here in order for it to work for this success case. Okay, that is the configuration for the mock. Now the test itself, so we need a site, which we can say site config. URL doesn't really matter much. The acceptable code is really important here. I'm going to put the 200 to be visible in the test. Frequency doesn't really matter because we don't need it here. All right, results. I'll make a channel of result buffered, then call check. We need the config, passing the config, the mock client, and the results channel. Okay, after that, what next is to check. Let's grab the data from the channel, and if if the site is not up or the result.status is not 200, I will say site should be up with 200 status code. You can put a different error message. Let's run the test. Fantastic, it passed. But I want to run it with coverage so we can see what we are covering and what we are not. Let's close these ones out. Go into the code, and as you can see, we covered this path. This is the happy path, but we're not covering the error branch. So let's go and do that. I will copy everything and paste. Let me add error here. For the errors, we don't need the body, we just need to return error here. And this is why I made it configurable. Errors.new error, something like this. It's enough. We don't actually need this. I think that's it. So here, if the site is up, for sure the site should be down. Site should be down, something like that. And we run it, great. If we run it with coverage one more time, switch to the code, you see that we've covered everything. Let me close this one down. You see, we covered everything here. So, fantastic. One last test. I want us to test this. It looks a simple code, but I want to show you something in case because we are making a real call here we are making a call, sorry, this one. The HTTP, default HTTP client, we're making a real call to server. So let's write the test for that. To write the test for that, I want to fold this once. Let me fold them. Great, so we can have some rooms, put some space. Func test client HTTP get. Okay, so what do we need? We need the client itself. This time around, we are taking the default HTTP server itself. Instead of making the call to an external server, which would work, but then you need the server to be available all the time when you run your test, and it will be slower. So what we can do is to create a server here internally. New server, HTTP handler func. This way, we are not limited to the availability of that server. We can do the things ourselves. Write header. So everything looks good. And this is our simple server. It's a real web server, but it's in the test. We want to close the server. Okay. What next? Let's read. Response error our client.get. So you see, we are passing the server URL instead. So we are going to hit this part of the code. If error is not new, we can do t.filter, because when this one failed, there is no need to test for this. If that is it, then what else? I can defer response.body.close as well. I need to check if response.status code is not equal to 200 t error. Expect status code to be 200. That is one check. Of course, if you want, you can stop the check here, but let's check the body as well. Expected body. Our body, okay, was the body. Byte slice, error, are you read all? Response.body. Same thing we did here. And now this is simple. If expected body is not equal to string byte slice t.errorf expected v got v. So expected body, and then I can say string byte slice. Simple test, but really useful. You see it passed. And if I run with coverage now, okay, I need to always close these things out. Look at, we've been able to test this part. You can write tests for this one as well, straightforward. But this is it for this video, so thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel.